Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. And in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Monday, March the 7th. Hope you guys had a good weekend. We're back to talk through Monday slate, break down these 8 games. Pretty nice slate for Monday. We're going to go through each one of these 8 games like we always do. Talk about each team, kind of give my early thoughts, what I do like at first look, taking a first look at the slate on Sunday night. And then as we do go through each game, we will build out an early core. We will talk about 5 players that do specifically stand out to me at first look on both DK and on Yahoo. But as always, guys, before we get started with the breakdown, please do hit the like button down below. I do always appreciate the likes. If you are new to the channel and you have not yet, make sure you click that subscribe button as well. We are on the road to 25,000 subscribers, and hopefully we will hit that milestone, maybe by the end of March. I think we're only like 200 or 300 subscribers away. So if you have not yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I do upload NBA content, Monday through Friday on this channel. I make, DK and Yahoo videos that you're watching right now. I do also make videos for Prize Picks, and if you are new here, Prize Picks is the sponsor of this video. You can actually check them out, link down below in the description, or just when you sign up for Prize Picks, make sure to use promo code NOAH, and they will give you a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. Now, Prize Picks is a player prop-based DFS site, so it is very simple. You're just picking the over or the under on players' projections. They don't really have anything posted, or at least not right now. The time I'm making this video, Sunday night, there's really not a ton of props up right now. But obviously, as we get closer to tip-off Monday night, there will be a lot of props available. You're picking just over or under on a player's projection. You have to make at least 2 picks, but you can make up to 5 picks, and you can win up to 10 extra money on Prize Picks. And I will have my video up for Prize Picks sometime Monday, probably early afternoon, maybe around 11, 12 Eastern. I will get up my Prize Picks video, talk through some of my favorite plays on Prize Picks for those of you that do already play over there. And if you have not yet, again, you can sign up for Prize Picks and use code NOAH, so that way you get that deposit bonus when you do sign up. But yeah, guys, let's take a look at Monday's 8-game slate. We're going to start off with the Hawks and Pistons game. So obviously a game that has a little bit of blowout risk here just because of how bad Detroit is. But one thing that's positive is that this game is being played in Detroit. I think right now the spread is 7.5. So we might get a close game here. If the game does stay close, there's definitely a lot of upside for Trae Young because Detroit's defense, I don't think they really have anyone to slow down Trae here. Trae obviously has massive upside. He can put up a big game every night. But I will say that on this 8-game slate, there are a lot of studs that I do like over Trae. You have Jokic, Luka, Embiid, LeBron, DeJounte Murray, Cat in a really good spot. Like, there's a lot of guys you can pay up for today. I don't think Trae's like my favorite option, but he is definitely viable. He's the one guy that I have interest in from Atlanta. Outside of Trae, like with John Collins back, I'm not really looking to Clint Capella anymore. John Collins himself, he came off the bench last game. I'd assume he moves back in the starting lineup today. So maybe like 6,100 John Collins is fine, but really Atlanta's just kind of Trae for me, and that's it. I don't see too much else I like on this Hawks team. And then on the Pistons side, the Pistons are a team I don't have a ton of interest in either. Cade Cunningham, another guy that always offers upside, but on this slate at 7,500, does Cade Cunningham stand out as a top option? I don't think so. I think there's other guys I'd probably be going to that are priced around him. There's just other guys I prefer. Sadiq Bey and Jeremy Grant, these guys are always playable because they can put up good games. Usually they kind of eat into each other's usage. So like when Sadiq Bey has a really big game, it usually comes at the expense of Jeremy Grant. Normally these guys don't have really big games together. So like maybe if you want to play like one of the 3 between Cade, Sadiq, Jeremy Grant, like if you're playing Trae Young, I think it kind of makes sense to play someone on the Detroit side, just hoping the game stays close. These guys play their full minutes. I could definitely see playing like Trae and Cade in a lineup because that should be a very low-owned combination. I don't really think many people are going to be targeting this game in general. But outside of the main 3 guys from Detroit, Isaiah Stewart, Kelly Olynyk, Marvin Bagley, I'm not really looking to anyone else on this team. So we can move on to the next game, talk about the Bulls and the Sixers. So on the Bulls today, pretty important news to watch with Nikola Vucevic, who is currently questionable. It was reported that he was probable, and then they reported later that he was questionable. So Vooch, I think, he has a chance to miss. We'll have to keep an eye on this. If Vooch does sit, I'm guessing that Tristan Thompson would start at center. Now, they actually did start Tristan Thompson alongside Vooch last game. Thompson only played 20 minutes, but he did have 5 fouls in those 20 minutes. Thompson was not that productive, but I would think, if he does start at center, his production would definitely be pretty good. He'd be around the rim to grab rebounds. Thompson's not a super productive player on a fantasy, for fantasy at least, but he can get putbacks, he can get rebounds, he can block shots. At 3,200, he would be a pretty good value play here. Even in a tough matchup against Embiid, I would definitely have some interest in Tristan Thompson if Vooch gets ruled out. If Vooch plays, Then there's not much that I really like from Chicago. Tougher matchup against Philly. Philly plays really, really slow. They're a solid defensive team. Like DeRozan, Vooch, Levine, none of these guys really stand out at their price points. One of the three could have a good game here, but predicting which one it's going to be is always tough. Don't love the matchup for Vooch. Maybe Levine would be my favorite of the Chicago guys, but in general, I don't think I'm really going to be targeting many Bulls today unless Vooch sits. If Vooch sits, then obviously DeRozan looks a lot better, Levine looks a lot better, and obviously Tristan Thompson would become a viable cheap play as well. But that's news we'll just have to wait and see on. Right now, Vooch questionable, so kind of tough to break down this team until we get some news on Vooch. And then on the other side of this game with Philadelphia, so they're getting back Harden for today. Harden did sit out on Saturday, but he's going to play today. So with Harden back, that's a little bump down for Joel Embiid. I don't know if it's much of a bump down for like Tyrese Maxey. I think it does bump down Tobias Harris though. But we've actually seen Tyrese Maxey be really, really good playing with Harden this season, which was something that I didn't expect. I thought Harden coming in would really hurt Maxey, but Maxey's been playing really well off ball. The opposing defenses have had to really focus in on Harden, and that has allowed for Maxey to just be more aggressive and to get more opportunity. So I think honestly with Harden playing today, like that might be good for Tyrese Maxey now. At 6,700, is Tyrese Maxey like a guy that I'm running to roster? Probably not, but if you're playing a lot of lineups, like I probably would have Tyrese Maxey in my player pool. Embiid at 12K, I don't think stands out on this slate. Same with Harden. These guys always have upside. Like we saw Harden put up, 80 DraftKings points against the Knicks. He can put up a huge game any night, but I think he's priced where he should be for what his role is on this Philly team. And the same could be said for Embiid at 12K. Neither one of these guys stand out as priority plays today. And there's really nothing else I like on on Philadelphia. So we can move on to the next game, Houston and Miami. Another game that has a lot of blowout risk here. Houston on a back-to-back. They played against Memphis on Sunday. Now they have to travel to Miami to face the Heat. Obviously, the Heat, one of the best defenses in the league, one of the best teams overall in the league. Game that has a lot of blowout risk here. I don't think I'm going to be going to any Houston guys today. Wouldn't even be surprised if they sit some players here. Since it is a back-to-back, like I wouldn't be surprised if KPJ sits or like Eric Gordon sits because normally these bad teams on back-to-backs, they will kind of rest guys. So keep an eye on the injury report for Houston. If everyone plays, it's just a full fade for me. I just don't really see much here. It's a tough matchup as well. If I had to play anyone on Houston, it probably would be Kevin Porter Jr. He did have a really good game on Sunday against Memphis. Kevin Porter Jr. always offers big-time upside if the game can stay close. That's a big if here, but if the game can stay close, like I wouldn't be surprised to see KPJ do well. But I'm not really looking to many Houston guys today. And then on the Miami side, it's a really good matchup here for Miami. Houston's defense has been one of the worst in the league. They play at a super fast pace as well. So Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, especially with Kyle Lowry out, like these guys are all playable, just given how good the matchup is. Now, I do worry about blowout here. Is there a possibility that these guys don't play their full minutes? It's obviously possible. But Bam should be able to crush against this Houston team. I definitely think he's viable. I think Jimmy Butler, 8,500, looks solid as well. He should get big minutes if the game can stay close, which is a big if. But if it does, I don't hate going to Jimmy. Don't hate Tyler Hero either. Victor Oladipo, I think it was reported that he's actually expected to make his season debut today. Does Victor Oladipo take usage away from Hero and Bam and Jimmy Butler? Probably not. I think Oladipo coming in just kind of takes a few minutes off of like Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, Max Strus, those guys. I don't think Oladipo is going to have too much of an effect on the main Miami guys, more so the bench players. So I would just really be looking to the main Miami guys here: Bam, Butler, Hero. If you think the game stays close, which I don't think it will, but if the game does somehow stay close, it's pretty likely that one of these guys does well, just given how good the matchup is against Houston. But that's really it for this game. We can move on to the next one, Portland and Minnesota. So this is another game that has a lot of blowout risk, but we saw this game be played on Saturday. Minnesota was really, really big favorites, and the game wound up staying close, or at least close enough to where the starters played their full minutes. Now Portland, they were without Josh Hart on Saturday. They were without a couple of other guys as well. Now today they're getting Josh Hart back, but Anthony Simons is going to sit, and I think this is like the first game that Simons has sit, or since CJ McCollum has been traded and since Damian Lillard has been ruled out. We haven't seen Anthony Simons miss a game. Now, he sat some games earlier this year, but that was when CJ was available and Dame was available. We haven't really seen this team without CJ, without Dame, and without Simons. Or maybe we have, but like that was back when they had Dennis Smith Jr. Obviously, he's not on the team anymore. So it's going to be very interesting to see who fills in for Simons. I'm guessing it will be Brandon Williams. He's only 3,800. I think if Brandon Williams does wind up starting at point guard, he will be a pretty good value play today. I'd assume he would probably play blowout run as well. Like, I think even if the game gets out of hand, like, Brandon Williams is still going to be out there. So I do feel pretty good about him as a value play. I don't know much about the guy. I haven't seen him play many minutes this year. He's only played in, 6 games from Portland, and 2 of those 4 games he played less than, 10 minutes. So we haven't seen much of a sample from Brandon Williams, but you would have to think he's probably the next guy up to fill in for Simons. So if Brandon Williams starts at point guard, I definitely like him as a value play at 3,800. And I think, no Simons, no Nurkic, no Lillard, no Winslow. We should see a massive workload for Josh Hart. Now, the one negative or the one concern, I guess, is that if this game does blow out, obviously Josh Hart is not going to play in a blowout. But if the game can somehow stay close, like, Josh Hart does have massive upside here. We know Josh Hart can contribute in all categories. He can score, he can get rebounds, he can get assists. His assist should definitely be good in this, in this role that he should have. They might kind of use him as like the backup point guard whenever Williams is not on the floor, because they don't really have any other ball handlers. I think Josh Hart's got big time upside here, and if the game stays close, I like him quite a bit. I hate to predict blowouts. It seems like anytime I expect a game to blow out, it doesn't, and when I hope that the game stays close, it doesn't. So I've been wrong on predicting blowouts this year. If this game stays close, though, I think Josh Hart has a pretty big game, and I like him quite a bit on both sides. He's pretty affordable on Yahoo, $27. His role should just be so good without all these guys for Portland, and obviously we're hoping the game stays close. If it does, I think Hart can have a really big game. So I definitely like Josh Hart today. And then the other Portland guys, like, Portland was really shorthanded last game. They only had 8 available players. Today it looks like they will have 10 available players. Greg Brown and Elijah Hughes were both out last game, but they're both probable for today, so they should be back. That should give Portland 10 available players. But we should still see pretty good minutes for like CJ Ellaby. He was a guy that I did like for value last slate. I think CJ Ellaby probably plays closer to 30 minutes here. He's only 4,500. He is someone that I do like as a value option. Definitely have my eye on him. Drew Eubanks played really well last game. Played 28 minutes, had 26 DK points. At 5K, I think he's kind of priced where he should be, but Drew Eubanks is definitely playable. We should see Trenton Watford play a decent amount as well. He played 32 minutes last game. Now, I think with Greg Brown coming back, with Elijah Hughes coming back, Watford might not play as many minutes today, but if he gets like 30 minutes, at 5,100, he could be viable. I think he's probably priced to a point where he's not a standout play anymore, especially with Brown and Hughes back, but still a viable option at least. I would say, though, that Hart, Brandon Williams, and Ellaby are probably my 3 favorite Portland guys. You could even look to like Keon Johnson, who did start last game and played pretty well. He's really cheap. He would probably play in a blowout too. So like he's viable. But those 3 guys that we just mentioned, those are the 3 guys I really like from Portland. That's really it from this team, though. Now moving on to the other side of this game with Minnesota. So for Minnesota, they're expected to be without Anthony Edwards again. He is doubtful, whereas Patrick Beverley is questionable. Patrick Beverley was out last game. Questionable once again. We'll have to pay attention to that. With Edwards and Beverley both out last game, we did see McDaniels and Beasley start. Malik Beasley at 4,300, if he winds up starting again, is someone that I will definitely be looking to as a value play. He only played 21 minutes last game, but he did get ejected in the third quarter. He would have played. He was on pace to play 34, 35 minutes had he not been ejected, and he was having a really good game as well. Now he was shooting the ball really efficient. He only had one assist and 1 block. He didn't really do anything else except score points. Malik Beasley is kind of a scoring dependent player, but they need some offense right now, especially without Anthony Edwards and potentially without Patrick Beverley. They're going to need someone to step up, play more minutes, fill in those roles, and that should be Malik Beasley that does that. So if Malik Beasley winds up starting again, I do like him a lot as a value play. I think Cat and D'Angelo Russell should both continue to have massive workloads while Anthony Edwards is out. We saw Cat play 34 minutes last game, had a massive game, almost 70 Draftkings points. Love the matchup here. Like going up against Drew Eubanks and Trenton Watford, these guys are just going to have no chance against Cat, and we saw that last time these teams played. So definitely think Cat's a good play, even at 10-6. I think he'll be a lot lower owned than some of the other studs on this slate. And D'Angelo Russell, 8,200, I don't mind either. He should get more opportunity without Anthony Edwards. Should have the ball in his hands more. He had 15 assists last game. His assist numbers should definitely be up as kind of the primary ball handler, especially if Patrick Beverley sits as well. So definitely think we could look to go back to D'Angelo Russell. And that's probably it from Minnesota. I don't really see anyone else I'm going to be targeting here. So let's go ahead and move on to the next game, Utah and Dallas. So Utah, they're another team on a back-to-back. They did play on Sunday against OKC on a back-to-back here. Mike Conley did rest on Sunday, but he's expected to be back for today. I'm assuming everyone else that played Sunday will play today, even though it's a back-to-back. But always keep an eye on the injury report. Donovan Mitchell at 9K, I don't think he really stands out on this slate. Like Mitchell at this price point is a tough guy to prioritize, especially when we have so many other studs that we can look to. Don't love the matchup either against Dallas. Dallas plays really slow. They've been a good defensive team this year, so not much interest in Donovan Mitchell. Not much interest in this Utah team as a whole. I think my favorite play from Utah would probably be Rudy Gobert, just because Rudy Gobert right now is back to playing his full minutes. He's playing 33, 34 minutes a night. These teams did just play pretty recently, and Gobert did have a really good game, 44 DK points. Dallas is a team, they're good defensively, but you can definitely beat them down low. Dwight Powell, not a good defender. They don't really have any good defensive bigs, so I think Gobert is definitely playable. But in general, I'm not really looking to target this Utah team. And I think on the other side of this game with Dallas, I'm not really looking to any Dallas guys either. Luka was out last game, but he's probable, so he's expected back for today. Obviously, Luka is always in play. Luka can put up a huge game any night. I think this matchup against Utah is one that I'm not super excited about. Now, Utah's defense this season compared to previous seasons, they haven't been as good. But in general, they're still not a team that I love targeting. I think on this slate, I'd rather go to Jokic. If DeJounte Murray plays, I like his matchup a lot against the Lakers. I think there's just other studs I'd be prioritizing over Luka today. We'll need to keep an eye on the status of Jalen Brunson, though, because he is currently questionable. If Jalen Brunson does sit, I'm guessing that we would see Spencer Dinwiddie start alongside Luka. If that does happen, Dinwiddie at 6,200 would definitely be playable. Now, obviously, Dinwiddie, you can't expect him to be super, super productive playing alongside Luka, but he should get some minutes. Without Luka, they probably will stagger their minutes if Brunson winds up sitting. Obviously, Dinwiddie had a massive game last game with Luka out. Don't know if we can expect 47 Draftkings points again, but if Jalen Brunson is out, I would have a little bit of interest in Spencer Dinwiddie. But that's it for Dallas. I'm not looking to anyone else on this team. So next game, the Lakers and the Spurs. This should be a really good game to target for DFS purposes. Two teams that play pretty fast. Lakers so far this season, 5th in pace, and the Spurs are 4th in pace. So on the season, both these teams are top 5 in pace. I know this game does have a really, really high total. I think the spread is 4 or 5 points in favor of the Spurs. Spurs are favored by 2.5 right now. So game's expected to stay close. It's got a really high total. We're obviously seeing LeBron James come off a massive, massive game against Golden State where he went for 56 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and a block, had 77 Draftkings points. LeBron, right now, is just going to have to do everything for the Lakers. If the Lakers want to win games and, make the play-in, make the playoffs, LeBron's just going to have to shoulder a massive, massive workload. And, I think he's always going to be in play for DFS. Now, does he stand out as, my favorite stud today? I don't think so. I think I'd rather go to Jokic. Maybe would rather go to DeJounte Murray as well on the other side of this game. But, man, if the Lakers keep this close, if they want to win this game, they're going to need LeBron to do what he did last game and just do it all. Take every shot, play huge minutes. He's just got to be the entire offense. They just can't get enough from anyone else right now. Their bench has been inconsistent. A lot of the starters have been inconsistent. They need LeBron to put up massive games every night. So the workload should be massive for LeBron. I think at 11-6, he's definitely in play today. Outside of LeBron, the other Lakers, Malik Monk, I don't hate at 5,400. He should continue to start and play pretty good minutes as long as he's playing well. The last few games that he has started, he's played pretty well. 31, 26, and 36 Draftkings points. Been playing big minutes too, 39, 29, and 32 minutes. So I think if the game stays close, we probably get low to mid-30s minutes from Malik Monk. And at 5,400, he's probably my second favorite Laker behind LeBron. But not really looking to Westbrook, THT, none of these other guys. Maybe Carmelo at 5,200, I don't hate. Coming off the bench, Melo probably plays 25, 30 minutes. He's always viable because he does have some upside. We know Carmelo will take a lot of shots when he's out there, but I think he's priced to a point where he doesn't stand out as a top play anymore. LeBron and Monk are the two guys I like most from this Lakers team. And then on the other side with San Antonio, so big news to watch from San Antonio with DeJounte Murray currently questionable. DeJounte Murray, obviously, if he winds up playing today, is in a great spot. The Lakers defensively have been really, really bad defensively this year. A guy like DeJounte Murray who can attack the rim, who does everything, he can thrive in this matchup against a bad defense and what should be a fast-paced game. He's done really well against the Lakers this season, averaging almost 60 Draftkings points per game against them through 3 games. So really, really like DeJounte Murray here if he winds up playing. If he doesn't play, then we would probably see Tre Jones start in place of DeJounte Murray. Tre Jones at 3,500 would be probably the best value play on the slate, if not close to it. We've seen Tre Jones play really well in the games that he has started in place of DeJounte Murray this season. So would definitely like Tre Jones if Murray sits. It would also be a boost for Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, Lonnie Walker. Those guys would get more opportunity too. Jakob Poeltl at 7,900. Against this small ball Lakers team, like Jakob Poeltl should be able to dominate here. I think it's almost 8K though. Like he's priced to a point where he doesn't really stand out to me, but the matchup is really good. It's a fast-paced game. Like I don't hate Poeltl on this slate. Keldon Johnson's coming off a big game last game against Charlotte where he went for 47 DK points. Another good matchup here against the Lakers. 6,300 though. Like I think Keldon Johnson's another guy that's kind of priced where he should be. Would have a little bit more interest in him if Murray sits. I think Devin Vassell is also questionable, so keep an eye on this. If he winds up sitting, that would definitely give a boost to Lonnie Walker. Like in a scenario where Murray and Vassell are both out, I would really, really like Lonnie Walker because Lonnie Walker would get a ton of opportunity if both Vassell and Murray are out. He would play big minutes. He would have to take a lot of shots. Obviously at 4,600, he'd be a really good value play. So there's going to be a lot to like from San Antonio regardless, just given how good the matchup is. And if Murray or Vassell winds up sitting, then there's going to be some value to go to here, and this is definitely going to be a team worth targeting. In general, this game is one that I do kind of have circled. I do like this game quite a bit on both sides. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the next game. This is probably the chalkiest game of the slate, and obviously the game we're going to spend the most time on, because if you looked at the Warriors injury report, or if you haven't looked at the injury report for the Warriors yet, they're basically sitting everybody. No Steph, no Clay, no Wiggins. Draymond's still out. Gary Payton out as well, and obviously James Wiseman not ready to play. Iguodala out yet, so they're going to be super thin. I think just looking at the slate before I started recording, I think the Warriors are going to have 10 available players today. Poole, Porter, Kuminga, Looney, Bjelica, Damian Lee, JTA, Moody, Chioza, and I think their 10th player will be Witherspoon. That gives them 10 available players. I don't think any of these other guys are like on the team, or they might be in like the G League or something. So most likely going to have 10 available players for Golden State. Obviously, this is a spot where they could just get the shit beat out of them. I mean, Denver is on a back-to-back, and they did play an overtime game against New Orleans on Sunday, so this game honestly might stay close. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it does. Right now, the spread is only 9.5 in favor of Denver. Like, even if the game blows out, I mean, these guys are just so cheap, man, and they're going to have to play minutes. You're going to have to just roster a ton of Warriors today. I mean, Jordan Poole at 5,300 is the best play on the slate. I know we've been through this scenario so many times where, excuse me, where Jordan Poole is really chalky because like Steph's out or Clay's out, and we all play Jordan Poole, and it seems like he never does well. But man, like 5,300 with all these guys out, like Jordan Poole is just going to get massive usage. He's going to take a ton of shots. He's the best play on the slate. I mean, there's no way around it. He's going to be in my lineup for sure on both sides. $24 on Yahoo. They priced him up a little bit there, but his role is just going to be so good that it's really hard to avoid Jordan Poole today. His usage should be massive without Steph, Clay, Wiggins, and Draymond. And then the rest of the Warriors, like all these guys look like pretty good values. Otto Porter, I guess, would start and should play around 30 minutes. Now, I will say that if this game does blow out, like Otto Porter will probably be one of the guys that doesn't get much run because obviously Otto Porter, older player, they like to manage his minutes anyway, so there's a pretty good possibility that if this game gets ugly, Otto Porter does not play much. So he's a little bit risky. But like Jonathan Kuminga should play a ton regardless. We've seen them play Jonathan Kuminga even in blowouts. And obviously without all these guys, like he's gonna have a ton of opportunity. I mean, this is definitely Kuminga's chance to really shine, to step up, to play big minutes. At 4,500, like Jonathan Kuminga looks like a really, really good value play on this slate. Have a ton of interest in him on both sides. $18 on Yahoo. I still think he's too cheap over there for what his role is going to be tonight with all these guys out. Kevon Looney, like I don't know if Kevon Looney's role really changes, so I'm not super excited about Kevon Looney. He probably plays like 30 minutes if the game's close, but he's another guy that, if the game blows out, he'll definitely take a big minutes hit. They won't play Looney in a blowout. He's obviously someone that they, give minutes to on a nightly basis. He's a starter. They don't want to push him in just a blowout, so he's a little bit risky. Same with Otto Porter, just because those guys won't get much run in a blowout, but like Bjelica would probably play in a blowout, and we know Bjelica is a really good point per minute player. I don't think he's really been in the rotation lately, but he's obviously going to get minutes today with so many guys out. So like as the backup center, like I don't hate going to Bjelica for value. Starting lineup will be really important. I'm guessing they start Moses Moody. So like Moses Moody is someone I have interest in for value. We see Moses Moody play well in these scenarios when everyone's been out. I know there's been a few games this year where they've sat a lot of guys. I think this game against San Antonio, they sat like everyone, Wiggins, Clay, Steph, all were out, and Moody played 37 minutes, had 32 DK points. Like we could definitely see another game similar to that from Moses Moody today. So at 3,200, if Moses Moody winds up starting, I like him quite a bit for value. He's just really hard to ignore these Warriors guys. They're just so cheap, and they're going to have to play minutes with how thin they are. Even if the game blows out, these guys probably still do fine. And then on Yahoo, Moses Moody's really cheap over there. He's $13, so definitely like him over on Yahoo as well. And, even some of the other like bench guys, like if you want to take a shot on JTA, Damian Lee, I don't hate that. I probably wouldn't play Chiozza, probably wouldn't play Witherspoon, but definitely, obviously the starters are all viable, and then like Bjelica, Damian Lee, JTA off the bench, I don't hate either. Starting lineup will be very important though. I'm guessing the starting lineup will be Poole, Moody, Porter, Kuminga, Looney. Like I'm guessing those will be the 5 starters, and then they'll have Bjelica, Lee, JTA, Chiozza, and Witherspoon off the bench. We'll have to pay attention to this. It's a 9 o'clock game, so the game starts 2 hours after lock. We're probably not going to get the Warriors starting lineup until after lock, so you're going to have to pay attention to your computer, pay attention to the news, be ready to make some changes, if the starting lineup winds up being a little bit different than what we expect it to be. But the Warriors are a team you just have to load up on today. There's no way around it. And then on the other side of this game with Denver, obviously there's blowout risk here. These Denver guys on a back-to-back, a little bit of risk in the spot, just because this game could get ugly. But if the game stays close, like Nikola Jokic, he went absolutely nuts in that overtime game against New Orleans. If Jokic plays today, like keep an eye on the injury report for the Nuggets. They could definitely sit some guys here in a meaningless game against obviously, if the Warriors are sitting everybody, I wouldn't be surprised if the Nuggets on a back-to-back, if they decide to like sit everybody as well and just like play all their G League guys, and this just be like just run the kids out there, let these young guys play a lot of minutes. But if Jokic does play today, he should dominate against the Warriors. Ever since they've lost Draymond, their defense, especially against big men, hasn't been as good. Jokic, I think, has done really well against the Warriors this season, averaging 65 Draftkings points through 2 games against them. In my opinion, Jokic is the top stud on the slate. And if I'm going to be playing a ton of Warriors today, might as well run it back with Jokic and hope the game stays close. So definitely like Jokic on the slate. My favorite pay-up option for sure. I'm on Yahoo, like him quite a bit there, $56. He's the guy that I do want to try and pay up for today. And then the rest of Denver, not too much else stands out here, but we do need to keep an eye on the status of Will Barton. So Will Barton did get injured in Sunday's game, and ultimately I don't think he wound up returning. If he did, he definitely didn't look healthy, because I was watching the game. He injured his ankle, and he looked a little gimpy. He didn't seem to be fully healthy. I think there's a very good chance Will Barton does not play today. So if Will Barton does not play, that should be more opportunity for Aaron Gordon. I wouldn't hate Aaron Gordon at 6K if Barton says. Maybe you see more opportunity for Monte Morris. Maybe Bones Highland plays a little bit more. These guys are definitely viable, especially on a back-to-back. Maybe we see them play their bench guys a little bit more. But in general, when it comes to Denver, Jokic is the guy that I really try and prioritize from Denver. I don't usually get too excited about anyone else. But in general, man, this game, the Golden State-Denver game, you're just going to have to load up on it. It's just all the value is coming from the Golden State side today. But last game of the night, the Knicks and the Kings. So the Knicks are another team on a back-to-back today. But it looks like, I just checked the box score, it looks like they did blow out the Clippers on Sunday. So they should be, their starters should be fine to play full minutes here, even on a back-to-back. A really, really good matchup here against the Kings. Kings play fast. They don't play any defense. So Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, I think are definitely playable today, just because of how good the matchup is. I don't know if I'd be getting to any other Knicks, but I do want to mention that Nerlens Noel and Taj Gibson were both out on Sunday. If they both sit again, like that's going to lead to Mitchell Robinson having to play pretty big minutes. Mitchell Robinson, can't remember how many minutes he played on Sunday against the Clippers, but I know he had a pretty good game. He had a really good game against the Suns on Friday. He's been playing really well lately, and I think his minutes would be really secure if those guys are out again. So definitely would have some interest in Mitchell Robinson. I think Barrett and Randle are both in play. Don't know if I get to any other Knicks, though. Alec Burks has been playing better lately, but I think at almost 6K, he's priced to a point where he doesn't stand out anymore to me. That's probably it from the Knicks side. And then on the other side with Sacramento, Domantas Sabonis, De'Aaron Fox are both always viable. I will say the matchup here against the Knicks, like the Knicks do play really slow. Their defense, I want to say on the season, hasn't been super, super good. In terms of defensive rating, the Knicks are, let's see, where are they at? They're about middle of the pack in defensive rating, but in terms of pace, they're one of the slowest paced teams in the league. They're bottom 4 in pace on the season, so big time pace down spot for the Kings. Sabonis, he can always put up a big game, but I don't think he really stands out. He's playable, but not a top option for me. Same with De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox has been playing big minutes lately. He's been showing some upside. At 9,300 though, I think he's priced where he should be. And then the rest of the Kings, Harrison Barnes, DiVincenzo, Trey Lyles, I'm just not going to go to these guys. We have so much other better value on the slate that we've already talked about. So most of my interest in this late game is coming from the Knicks side with the Barrett, Randall, Robinson, those guys that we talked about. But yeah, that's it for these 8 games on Monday. I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. I hope it did help. If you enjoyed, make sure you click that like button down below. Click that subscribe button as well. Let me know down in the comment section, some of your favorite plays for tonight. I'm always trying to read the comment section, always trying to interact with you guys. If you always have any questions or any feedback, you can also leave those down below in the comment section. And make sure to check out the sponsor of the video, PrizePicks. If you have not signed up for PrizePicks yet, use code NOAH. When you sign up over there, they'll give you a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. You can take a look at what PrizePicks has to offer. Usually, later on Monday, probably early Monday morning, they'll have their full board posted. You can take a look at all the props they have available for Monday, go over or under. Again, I will be making my PrizePicks video on Monday, early afternoon, probably around 11, 12 Eastern. I will post my video to YouTube, breaking down some of my favorite plays for PrizePicks today. Usually, 2, 3, 4 picks that I do like on the slate. So check out that video if you do play on PrizePicks, and if you don't, we'll get over there, sign up and use code NOAH, get your first deposit matched up to $100. But good luck on this 8-game slate, guys. I appreciate you watching the video as always. I hope you did enjoy, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.